My name is Luke Rideout. I'm in the business development department at Premium Agency. I'll be his mouthpiece today. So I'll be doing most of the presentation, but if there's any questions, I will be handing them over to him. So yes, we are Premium Agency. First of all, I'd like to give a quick idea of what Premium Agency actually is. We are a game and CG development studio of about 200 people, and among the top 10 independent developing studios in Japan. We are also a middleware developer focused on the licensing of our 3D rendering engine called Chidori. This is our office. We are located in Tokyo, and we have a nice open office. We have about, as I said before, 200 people, largely focused on animation and art. Now, a fact of the Japanese gaming industry. A lot of the big video game developers are dying right now for various reasons that I hope to touch on today during my speech. Premium Agency originally also did a lot of console-type development, but more recently we've moved into social game publishing, partially funded by our friends at DNA, who were just on the stage before me, developing social games for smartphones. Now, today's speech, we'll be talking about the state of the industry in Japan as it is right now, a profile of the Japanese consumer, including some demographic data for you, and then the rise of mobility, mobile games, and socialism in Japan. A little bit about trends and forecasts, things that we can see going on in the Japanese market, and then finally I'm going to talk a little bit about Premium Agency and what we are doing to move into the social world right now. So, first of all, quick history lesson. I'm sure most of you are familiar with the Japanese game consoles that have come up through the years. Something very important I want you to keep a look at, or to take a look at, is over here in 1983, we have the Nintendo Famicom, or more well known in the West as the Nintendo Entertainment System. This becomes important, and almost unfortunately, someone already touched on why that's important. So I'm just going to jump straight ahead into the current state of the industry. So the last 5 years, the platform that have been most profitable in Japan are the handhelds, the Nintendo DS and the PlayStation Portable, followed shortly thereafter by the Nintendo Wii. Now, on the Nintendo DS, of course, we have the big titles like Pokemon Black and White, which sold about 5.5 million copies in Japan. And then on the PSP, I'm sorry I'm giving you 3 of the same series, but I wanted to give you the top 3 selling titles of any given platform. So Capcom is eating everybody else alive with their Monster Hunter series. And as you can see on the right side there in the pie chart, 42% of the Japanese games industry money is going into the Nintendo DS. So, speaking about the consoles, now I'd like to move over and talk a little bit about social platforms. So, as you can see over here, the console market back in 2009 had a pretty good lead over the social market. And then over in the last couple of years, 2010 caught up, and then in 2011, social games have already overtaken the console market in Japan. As you can see, it's very consistent, really, the Japanese console games. It's not going up, it's not going down too much. But social continues to move upward. And then to kind of go a little bit further down the rabbit hole, we have smartphones and feature phones. Feature phones, of course, being the slightly older model of games, which is mostly text and bitmap type based gaming. Back in 2009, feature phones, there were about 10 times as many, 30 million units in circulation in Japan, whereas only about 3 million of the smartphones. And then in 2010, going up through 2012, you can see a dramatic increase and decrease of both, respectively. Oh, sorry about that. And here we have, talking about smartphones, in Japan, the difference between the sales of the Android and the iPhone. I apologize for a small gap in the data here, but what's important to look at is where the yellow line, being our iPhones, is doing fairly well, but also a huge jump in the latter half of 2011 in the sales of Android phones, showing that the market is fickle in Japan. Smartphones are doing very well, but it's hard to really say who's winning the battle just yet. So here we have the Japanese consumer. Not sure how familiar all of you are with the demographics in Japan, but here is a quick, small look at the age and gender distribution as set out by the CESA, the Consumer Entertainment Suppliers Association in Japan. It was spoken about just a moment ago in DNA's presentation, but over there in the 35 to almost 50 range, you can see a huge percentage of the game market in Japan in that area. Now, of course, this was the baby boomers, huge population of people, and also when they were kids, about 13 years old, or even down to younger elementary school age, this is when the Famicom came out. So all of these people, huge population. Nintendo releases this game box that attaches your TV, and everybody wants to play it. So you have a ton of people in this age playing your Famicom games and continue to playing games through into their adulthood. You can see a bit of a dip in high school age students, but of course this is mostly a matter of population. Fewer kids means fewer games. And actually, I'm going to just move back there. And of course, a little bit more information about what the Japanese lifestyle is like. Here we have the average commute time for a salaryman in Japan is about 70 minutes, and 33% of all domestic passenger transport is by railroads. That means 1/3 of the Japanese population of adults every day is sitting for an hour on the train with nothing to do except stare at the person sitting in the train across from them, right? So that means, what do you do for fun? Well, you either pick up a DS or a PSP or your newspaper, right? So you see a lot of people on the train, even adults, gray-haired people, people who are aging way too fast like me, playing video games on the trains. And of course, another thing that works into that is the average house size of Japan. That's about 90 meters squared, which amounts up to basically one room that serves as a living room, dining room, and kitchen, and then a master bedroom, and then 2 other rooms, probably children's rooms, maybe a rec room if you're lucky. So with this small living environment, and also in the Japanese society, which is generally a very quiet society, having your kids turn on the Xbox and play Just Dance on the Kinect is not as much of an option as it is in Western markets. So, back to social games. We have GREE, DNA, these huge juggernauts of social gaming that are jumping amazing amounts in the last couple of years because of these demographics. Popular GREE titles and popular MobiGate titles. These are on the feature phones. As spoken about before, microtransactions. These stamina items, these parameter raising items are really what is big over here. We have games like Doryland and Dragon Collection and Pro Baseball Dream 9. These are all basically card games with small microtransaction models, the gacha and things like that. They've been spoken about so much in the news recently. And on the right side we have like Kaito Royale, Rage of Bahamut, and sort of similar to Farmville is Noen Hokorina game. Once again, the microtransaction models. Now, the top grossing iPhone games in Japan, Puzzle & Dragons, Kaksansei Million Arthur, Kaibut's Chronicle. These are games that basically chimp the microtransaction model that you see in the feature phone type games. These are where all of the money is going in Japan. Now, on the right side, of course, we have our top paid iPhone titles. Angry Birds is one of them at 85 yen. Kukiyomi is a port of a DS title. Osubancho 2 is a port of a slot machine. But really where all of the money is here on the left with microtransactions. Sorry. Okay, we got 2 people playing with the slides here. Sorry about that. So, smartphone, here is where the market is and where it's going right now. So, first of all, since the feature phones are dropping in popularity and the smartphones are growing, which I think is kind of, ubiquitous. Everybody's seeing this happening. So smartphone native social applications are going to be growing over the next couple of years, especially in Japan. the continued success of the freemium model is something that we are seeing coming along. In Japan, at the very least, it's not going anywhere. But the quality of games is growing. We, being a company that is focused on 3D, are looking at particularly social games that also have the high production values, the 3D look. Also, we have the globalization of social apps that are seeing Japanese success. We have Agree and DNA that are globalizing right now, taking their platforms to the rest of the world and trying to make a profit in everywhere else. And because everybody in the world has these smartphones, in Japan it was all about the PSP, but in the United States nobody plays on the PSP, right? So you have your smartphone and everybody uses it. So there's a lot more chance for people to, or for developers from different countries to kind of bring their content to the rest of the world. Next trends that we're seeing, video and social gaming are starting to become one. Console, mobile, social game integration is becoming a really big thing. You have games that want to post onto your Facebook profile, or they want to tweet for you. You have games that have the passive multiplayer aspect with leaderboards and little battles that you don't really do yourself, but the game says, oh, you were beaten up by this guy, so you should fight back, that sort of thing. So where that's taking us is, because of the success of the smartphones, we're going to see a fusion of handhelds and mobile games with things like the PlayStation Suite, which was talked about yesterday by Sony. From a gaming background, this is kind of sad for me to have to say, but the consumption of the handheld by the smartphone. Now, of course, we have things like the Tegra, that just has so much power that it's really catching up at an alarming pace to your things like your Vita and so on. So we see, or we imagine that in the next couple of years, handhelds are just kind of peter out, and smartphones is going to be where it's at. And I think a lot of people sitting here already kind of get that. But in Japan specifically, it's unclear who's going to dominate the smartphone platform. We all thought it was going to be iPhone at the beginning, but then in 2011, the Galaxy S2 blew it out of the water. So we don't know. iOS, Android, Windows Phone, which doesn't have much of a presence in Japan just yet, but is working on it right now. And things like the PS Suite as well should all be considered. And for a developer like us, we are afraid. We don't want to just do platform-exclusive content. It's too risky. So you need to develop for all of these platforms at once if you kind of, don't want to put all your eggs into one basket. So what is Premium Agency doing to make sure that, a developer like us continues to survive in the Japanese market? Well, our business has been traditionally in games, image and sound. We did a lot of work for hire, but we're also doing some original game development. We did a lot of work for hire for animations. We worked together with Konami and a number of other huge Japanese companies, and we're doing some original animation now. But we also have, down at the bottom, our Chidori solution. Chidori is the name of our 3D engine that we developed. And we are licensing this out. And similar to another popular engine that I won't mention for many reasons that I'm sure everybody can guess, this is all about one source, multi-platform development. We can develop on the PlayStation 3, the Xbox, the Vita, but you can also develop using this tool for iOS, Android, all the smartphone type, and also PC. These are some of the platforms that Chidori supports. As you can see, it's a wide range of level of hardware. And so not just what type of game you're developing, but where can you put it? And that becomes very important with little guys like us, right? So what does Chidori do? Well, it is a set of libraries. It has a very strong shader library, which is scalable. So you can put your games onto the PS3. It looks great, looks just the same, maybe not quite as fast, on a tablet or a smartphone. It also includes development optimization tools, a UI builder, a tool that allows you to stream effects directly from Maya into the engine for quick development. And of course, as said before, single source, multi-platform. Anybody interested? Take a photo now. And you can check out the Chidori engine online. Also, if you got a bag, there will be a pamphlet for the Chidori engine in that, and you can take a look at that as well. What else does PA do? Well, we have a little video here, and hopefully we have time, but take a look at that.
Don't stop.
And move on to the next slide. So, quick list of things that we worked on, Naruto, Death by Cube, Agent 7, and so on. But some other things that we have been doing. We are heavily involved in training in Asia. We offer services to places like Nanyang Polytechnic. We sponsored an incubation program for the PlayStation 3 development. We're also working together with a group in China for game engineers. We have been developing a number of smartphone titles, like the aforementioned Agent 7, or simple racing games and fighting games, using our background as a large-scale game development company. We also have a number of other solutions that we work on. This smartphone game that we developed and released last year, or last month, that utilizes the Chidori engine in making a 3D seeking game with a social aspect. It's seen marginal popularity, but it's moving forward currently. And it becomes a little bit larger in the market. We're working on doing some PR for it as well. This is the Chidori rendering engine. It allows you to look at models in real time with, oh, is this off? This is off. I'm sorry. The Chidori engine rendering platform that allows you to look at models in real time, change the lighting around. It has a very robust lighting engine that allows you, that supports dynamic, changes in movement, changes in your level of, all of those things. Okay. We also have a solution that works together with local municipalities to show the cities in real time in virtual environments. This is our live AR solution. using the Chidori engine as a catalyst for creating live compositing of 3D content in real time. Uses the iPad or the Android tablet to communicate with the server so that you can add effects to live video. Watching, gathering data from a digital camera to superimpose 3D characters. And in the case of a camera system that actually handles depth, it can also have 3D characters that we're actually walking around in the real world, in front of and behind things as necessary. This is a concert that we did in Shinjuku in Tokyo a few months ago, which, as you can see, has a lot of people interested in this technology. Okay, we're good. Okay, so our focus is on our Chidori engine, free for the Android and the PC. So if anybody's interested in the engine, please take a look. We also do 3D application development for the smartphone and this other live augmented reality solution for broadcast and digital signage. As a previously exclusively game developer, we are branching out. You got to use your 3D in multiple different areas. We have this enormous Asian market. What we've been doing to kind of survive in this is, moving some of our work offshore. We have been licensing and localizing our 3D apps, and we're also working on building some relationships with other publishers, other game content developers to co-produce. We believe that the 3 T's are extremely important for development and for success in especially the Japanese market. Growing new talent. There's a lot of old boys, so we need young folks. So we've got this Chidori Academy, doing incubation programs. We've got technology. Japan has not really been doing engines very much, and that's not a good thing. So we brought this Chidori engine to the forefront. And of course, teamwork. Once again, co-production with other groups. We've got our video games, Nintendo, Sony, and good old Microsoft. And then, of course, the Japanese social game, these juggernauts where all the money is coming from, Greed, DNA, really big platforms. And then, with our technology, turn those into 3D apps, a fusion of both of these things. We don't want, console games to go away. We want these to, keep on moving on. It's one of Japan's, great things that we've had for all these years. So we're hoping to, bring that along into the forefront. So for anybody that has a little bit of extra time this evening and has some questions about the Chidori engine, or would just like to hang out a little bit, we are doing a dinner at the Swiss Hotel de Stamford, 2nd floor in Kopitiam. So if you have some time, drop by. We'd love to have you. So thank you very much. Google Chidori download the engine, give it a shot. And we're looking for new business partners. Thank you very much. All right, well, thank you very much. Yep, and enjoy the rest of the show.